Hello, everyone. So today I'm answering your YouTube questions. First of all, thank you very much to all who liked and subscribed and who post interesting, very valuable questions that could be of use for other beings as well. So today's question is, the person is looking for self-realization and would like to become aware of their higher being, higher self. And the question is, could you tell what I specifically need to become awake or awakened? It is quite an interesting question, because it doesn't really matter how on the superficial level we might be keen on getting awakened or experience something supernaturally, spiritually. Everything comes in time, in the right time. And so when we look for spiritual evolution, first of all, there's no awakening without some sort of a shift in our life that pushes us to that point where we refocus, we focus within. So the moment of awakening is that deep kind of a focus within, because most of the time we are so dispersed within the projected reality, so that we keep on fragmenting ourselves, connecting to the projected reality and its elements in a way that we drain ourselves, we lose energy to this projected reality. And because we lose energy, we cannot understand who we are. And so we are taught through our society, through our whatever system, to constantly seek for validation in the external reality, to constantly be focused on the external reality and find the solution or validation or depth of self supposedly in the projected reality. But that's absurd, it's impossible. And so now we have to relearn. So, and this relearning is nothing but shifting the focus from the projected reality, from these habit of empowering each and every element of the projected reality more than oneself, into oneself. So once you focus within, and usually we have some kind of a situation or maybe even drama or certain traumatic episode that may either take us more into dispersion or can become this sort of a turning point in our life where we shift our perception back within. And this is the moment of awakening. Sometimes unexpectedly, you just all of a sudden just let go of whatever explanation of self, whatever truths you were looking for in the projected reality, whatever importance you've given to the projected reality. You've shifted all that focus within. And finally, you're just in that moment of unconditional being, peace, contentment, whatever you call it, you can't even understand. So that's the moment of awakening. But the moment of awakening doesn't mean that you have already progressed spiritually or evolved. And this is where the majority of people get entrapped. They may suddenly, for whatever reason, perceive that state of awakening. But the state of awakening is nothing but your natural being. So you're supposed to experience it all the time. The fact is that due to our current age and system, social construct, we are constantly taught to be outside of our body, outside of our being, within the projected reality. And so this moment feels like, wow, it's something newly found, but it has always been there. You may experience unconditional being when you just wake up, or when you are in a deep sleep and somewhat conscious, when you are deeply kind of absorbed within yourself, even for a moment. So these are all the moments of natural being. But since they're not sustained and they're not for a long time, you cannot heal or refine yourself through such glimpses. And so when you're really awakened and awaken to the point that you consciously recognize this as your natural being, you start holding on to it, you start bringing back yourself into it. And that's called spiritual practice, which is nothing but natural refocusing within, where you experience natural spiritual absorption into yourself and try to sustain it. Once you come out of this absorption or get into this absorption, well, when you get into this absorption, there is just absorption. When you come out of it, you can clearly see your tendencies, your transitory tendencies that keep on pulling you outwards, that keep on connecting you on and on with the projected conditional reality. And so by noticing this, you gradually, through time, experience life, natural flow of life, you keep on refining yourself so that you more and more establish yourself in the natural being and more disconnect from the projected element, from the elements of the projected reality. Disconnect meaning, sever unhealthy ways of connection, which is addictions, which is obsessions, which is constant search of self within the projected reality, in whatever name, even in the name of spirituality, because the spirituality of the projected world is not the true spirituality. And you can only understand it once you're refocused and actually awakened within oneself, acknowledged it, and keep on cultivating this frequency, higher frequency within, through which you start healing, through which you start recognizing your conditionings, your distortions, corruption, trauma. And through that, you learn to dissolve them. Dissolution happens through letting go, because once you surrender into the unconditional being, it means you let go. The more you let go, the more you're used to this higher being, to this unconditional natural being. And that's how you start recognizing certain things intuitively. You start knowing, because that brings humility. And with humility comes knowledge and inner expansion. So it is not forced, but naturally occurring. And so we cannot force it. Every soul has its time. Every soul has its own conditionings, which today are a bondage, and tomorrow will become the path of self-liberation. Because awakening to the unconditional being is one thing, but to understand the path of self-liberation is to understand the path of pain and trauma, which limit us, which don't allow us to be in that higher frequency all the time. Because once you are in the absorbed state, after that will be the point of resistance, the point of contradiction within oneself, the point of conflict and trauma, which you are now to observe and address through that awakened unconditional state or higher frequency of awareness, where you no longer take it personally. You no longer see it as something important. And so because you withdraw that consciousness from it, or conscious attention or conscious power, it starts dissipating within the space of your consciousness, revealing the true unconditional nature of your consciousness, rather than that limited state where you are there within yourself as an unconditional being, but you're constricted and limited through the conditionings. So when you reveal, or your consciousness reveals through the absorption, these conditionings and limitations, become nothing but the path of liberation, because now you withdraw focus from them and they start dissolving. And all that remains is that awakened higher frequency, unconditional being, whatever word you use, divinity of yourself, onto which now you hold on stronger and stronger. And the point of being on the spiritual path is nothing but to hold on to that unconditional frequency. It doesn't even matter who reminds you of that unconditional frequency within the projected reality, because the projection is there, it always will be. But the importance and the focus has to always remain within. This way you evolve, And this way you realize self, that higher being. Because whoever is your guide, whatever is the teaching, its purpose is only to remind you to shift the focus within and to realize the limitation, to dissolve these limitations and break through into the unconditional space of consciousness, which is the collective higher frequency or cluster of being consciousness. Thank you very much. I hope it helped you and brought you into that natural being within. Always remember, remain within your body consciously, and you will be awakened. Thank you very much, and bye.